I was going to say, About Me, like, you're trying to showcase, like, just say, like, who you are kind of thing, I guess.
Right, yeah, About Me is kind of lays the foundation of, because, I've been doing music for a while. Like I said, I've been signed since 2010, and people kind of had kind of this perception about me that kind of like I grew up in church, I guess, because they didn't know much about my background. You know what I'm saying? So they just kind of lumped me in with I guess like a lot of their favorite artists, and believing that, oh, this is another guy who grew up in church and this and that. So I felt that even in the scriptures, when you read the scriptures, they talk about how the saints overcame the dragon or overcame Satan by their testimony and the blood of the Lamb. And I was always going back home, you know what I'm saying, and visiting, and I would see the same thing, guys that I grew up with, still trapped in the system, still trapped in the streets, still trapped selling drugs, still dying, killing each other, stuff like that. And I was like, man, well, who's speaking to this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't see a strong presence of the church in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, like nobody's speaking to this or about this. You know what I'm saying? And what I wanted to do was kind of shed some light on that mind state, on how people feel living in that environment and what they're like. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up like that. You know what I'm saying? And so what I want to do is to share my testimony, and give guys an opportunity to hear some hope, you know what I'm saying, and to see that, if God did it for me, he can also do it for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. You said that you grew up in the Blood?
In the Crips.
Oh, Crips, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, in the Crips, yeah.
So that's a big thing in itself, man.
Yeah, man. It's, growing up, man, Arkansas, it had strong gang presence, and it's still there. You know what I'm saying? It's not as prevalent in certain places now as it was when I was growing up. But now, I mean, it was crazy. And, my older cousins and uncles, that's what they were doing. And, I was a kid, man, 12 years old. I didn't know nothing about gangs. And then they did a documentary that actually aired on HBO called Gang Banging in Little Rock. Little Rock being the capital of Arkansas, and it shed light on the activities of the gangs that were around, and it kind of put the legs on stuff that I was already seeing, and because I idolized my older uncles, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to be like them. And when I saw that, it was like, oh, so that's what they do, because I would see them all the time with their cliques, and their posses, the partners and the colors and stuff like that. But I never understood that. I just thought, thinking like a kid, man, they just friends and they coordinate colors, And when I saw the documentary, it was like, oh wow, they're gangsters, And I gravitated to that. I thought it was cool, and I wanted to be a gangster. Like, man, I want to be a gangster. And I had a uncle who was, I think he was 14, 15 at the time, and he was God in my eyes, because we were so close in age, but he was so cool and people respected him. Girls liked them, and all that, and we was close in age. We was like brothers, and I didn't know he was in the gang. But then when I saw the documentary, it made sense to me, and I wanted to join, and it initiated me. And I did that, until I became a Christian, so from 12 to I was 20, 21 years old, and that's all I knew. And unfortunately, like the year after I got initiated in the Crips, my uncle got killed. When he got killed, I felt like it was my duty and responsibility to take over his legacy. You know what I'm saying? Because I was the next boy that was, close to his age in our family. So I just felt like, it's my responsibility to carry this torch and to gangbang. And it's crazy. It's a stupid way of thinking, but, I was lost, and that's what I felt. And I was getting so much respect from other gang members and, and people who embraced me because of, his death. You know what I'm saying? And that just added fuel to the fire. So I went out and did all kind of dumb stuff, and I've been arrested for all kinds of crimes, and robbery, burglary, to attempted murder, always fighting and doing just ignorant stuff, man.
Yeah, man, that's amazing to hear that about you, because I didn't know that stuff about you. And going back to what you said, kind of when you signed RMG, nobody knew this about you. And I think wouldn't you kind of say that when somebody joins like one of these well-known Christian labels, for example, like IMG, people automatically assume like, oh, you know, that's a Christian guy because it's a well-known
right.
kind of, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that, and then, you know, I didn't talk about it much. You know what I'm saying? One, I kind of had a fear that people would feel like I was bragging. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
When I first came into, you know, Christian rap, there was kind of this era about Christian rap that, you know, most guys did grow up in church. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of them felt threatened by guys who didn't grow up in church and came and talked about it, expressed it through music. Because I would hear a lot of conversations about, you know, how from certain guys who were kind of, I guess, irritated or angry, you know, and saying that guys were bragging about it, you know, trying to make it seem like, you know, they meant more to God than a guy who grew up in church, you know, and that never was the case. So I just kind of, you know, left it alone. And, you know, I'm pretty skillful when I write music. So, you know, I found other ways to express myself and just talk about, you know, God and Jesus and, you know, who he is, what he's done in the world rather than what he's done in my own life. And I felt like one day, you know, the Lord just kind of checked me and was like, you know, I'm withholding glory from him, not telling people my story. You know what I'm saying? And I believed it's more glorifying to God for my life than when I express what God has done in my life and putting my life on display and letting people see, you know, like, this is where I come from. And like I said, from the young kid or the young man and young woman who actually are stuck in those circumstances. Like, when you're in those circumstances, that's the world. You feel like that's what life is. And you feel cursed and you feel trapped and you feel like that's all life is about for you, you know, and not many people make it out like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, not many people go through what I've gone through and then are able to survive, and not just survive, but actually become a Christian. You know what I'm saying? I've seen guys who, you know, get out of, you know, the drug trade, you know, gang life and street life and stuff like that, but they just enter into a whole nother set of crimes. You know what I'm saying? A whole nother life of crime, or, you know, a life of darkness. And what God did for me was, you know, took me out of darkness and placed me in his light. And I wanted to express that to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So I would have thought after all that you're very thankful, which leads us into your next tune, dude.
Real talk. I'm very thankful for that. And that's part of what the song is about. And that's what inspires the song. You know, it's just being thankful for what God has done in my life. You know what I'm saying?